everybody, welcome to another GG.CO.UK video with me, Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount. This is day 4, looking at the Cheltenham Festival from an Ante-Post perspective. So last chance really to try and eke out any bit of value in those Ante-Post markets. Before we get started, a big thank you to SBK for sponsoring this video. There is a risk-free £20 bet in the link below. You get your money back as cash if it loses, so perhaps for one of these selections, if you fancy it. We've got our full Cheltenham preview on Wednesday, being recorded on Wednesday. So, again, just another chance to thrash out some early thoughts. These selections are not set in stone, but it's a chance for us just to talk through day 4. So, how are you, Andrew? Triumph Hurdle is the first race of the day. I'll let you go first in this.
Yeah, cheers, Daryl. Not so bad, thank you. Yeah, the Triumph Hurdle is not really a race that I spend a lot of time looking at. It's not a race I've done particularly well at over the years, but it is very hard to get away from the head of the market here. Tritonic in particular for Alan King. I know he hasn't had a hurdle winner at the festival since Medina's won the Coral Cup in, I think, 2013. He's about 0 from 79, I think, since then. But I was really taken by his hurdles debut when winning at Ascot, and of course, last time out at Kempton, I was slightly concerned that his come from behind style might not be suited to the Kempton track, but he's raced a little bit more prominently than usual, and he's come through and he's powered away and he's won very, very comfortably. And I'd really like to see the British take this, and I think Alan King's Tritonic can do it. Obviously, the value's been sucked out of him now. What is he, 9-4, 5-2? Not even that in some places, but yeah, I was finding it difficult to look elsewhere. I'm sure I'll try and stab out in each way on the day, particularly if there's more places on offer than the current 3. But I don't know if you've got anything at a bigger price that you fancy for this one.
I don't know. I do agree with you in terms of the winner is more than likely to come for the top 3 in the market. There is a horse that is worth a mentioning here. It's a horse called Tax for Max for Willie Mullins. This horse has only run once. He ran at Fairyhouse at a couple of weeks ago, not long ago at all. So whether he goes here or not is, it's totally up in the air. But I thought he was quite impressive to finish second to Tihipu, who's half his price in here. He was very, very keen. He wore the hood first time on debut. He was throwing his head around everywhere for much of the race. He's going to need to learn to settle better than that, but he jumped really nicely, and the penny just sort of dropped towards the end of the race, and he chased home the experienced Tihipu late in the day. Now, it's a bit of a punt in the dark, but he's 40-1. I was trying to look for something maybe that might offer a little bit of value, that might be able to run into one of the places on the day that can the concessions you're going to get on the first race of the day, which they'll do throughout the week. So 40-1, if he goes here, I think he might just be worth a second look. The issue I've got with it's not an issue. I like Tritonic. I do like it. Would you be concerned about the time figure that he ran at Kempton?
Not particularly, given his hold-up style, because the way he runs, he's just, the figure he's going to record is wholly dependent on what those in front of him are doing, really. So, if you're coming from, if you're a hold-up horse, or you're coming from midfield or further back, then the idea is to put the horse in front, after jumping the last, then it all depends what's happened in front of you, and I wouldn't be worrying too much about that. He's going to improve, for going a better race in a bigger field with a stronger pace. And, he's basically my sort of token stab at the race at this stage. But I've not bet him. I know plenty of people are on Ante-Post at 12-1 or bigger. I'm not saying I'm recommending him that you lump on him at 9-4. But, if you want to pick from me now for the Triumph, at this stage, it's Tritonic. But, yeah. I should emphasise, I've not bet him, and I like your angle with the Mullins horse there. So regular listeners will know that I always oppose Willie Mullins horses in first-time hoods over hurdles. They've got a terrible record. They often finished out of the frame. So the fact that he could finish second, and he's a big price, and he looks like he's going to improve for a bigger field, stronger pace, and quicker ground as well. So, if we don't get much rain between now and next week, then we could be looking at goodish ground come Friday. So, that's
definitely
certainly one to side with.
Yeah, I totally agree as well with the Tritonic comment. I think a lot of people are comparing it to the other race on the card, Hometown Boy and Cape Gentleman, whereas those two horses sort of forced the pace in their race, whereas Tritonic was sort of sitting off and just got dealt the cards he got dealt, if you like. But he was impressive at the finish. I'm not a massive Zanahiyr fan. I like the way he travels. I like the way he jumps. I've just not been sucked into the hype as everybody else has. And Quilixios looks a big price at 6-1. You could argue, based on what he's done. But yeah, for now, I thought the only slight bit of value might be this tax for Max. But we'll move on. We'll move on to the second race on the Friday. Just worth mentioning as well that I think it's been good ground or borderline good ground for the last 5 years. And this is a week later in the month than what we would normally have in March, this festival. So pushing further into spring. The County Hurdle is the next race on the card, Andrew, the 155. Anything catching your eye?
Yeah, I mean, this race looks very tricky on paper, and it was always my bogey race when I first got into racing. I don't think I backed the winner of this for about 20 years. And then Dan Skelton came along. And I napped Chittabello a couple of years ago, not after time, and it's all there in my GG column if you want to go back and check.
Yeah, all right.
No one likes an after timing. But what's very interesting is that he's now won the race 3 times in the last 5 years. And a friend of mine's got a theory that he might have actually won it more than that. And that's because Paul Nicholls used to do really well in this race when Dan Skelton was his assistant. And the theory is that Dan Skelton was the mastermind behind the Paul Nicholls handicap winners, perhaps at the festival. And if you look at the Nicholls runners in the County Hurdle since Dan Skelton left and went out on his own, they've tended to run shockingly, well down the field, not living up to their market expectations. So that was an interesting theory. But even if you just look at those with Dan Skelton next to their name, 3 from the last 5. And Third Time Lucki is one that I've had in mind for this race for some time. He's a horse who needs a big field, strong pace, and he was beaten at odds of, I think, 10-11 in a 7-runner field at Musselburgh last time. They crawled along. He's held up. He's raced keenly as a result. Coming back into a big field is going to suit him. Now, he's still entered in the Supreme, I think, for which he's 33-1. But he's 10-1 or thereabouts for the County Hurdle. His trainer's got a fantastic record in the race. And if you look at his wins, flat and jumps combined, they've come in fields of 15 runners, 13, 12, 11. And he did win a small race at Kempton in a field of 6. But the bigger the field, the better he runs. The trainer's got a fantastic record in the race. And Third Time Lucki looks to have been laid out for this. And I can see him running a fantastic race here. And you're going to get 5 places each way, something like that. Back him each way. Third Time Lucki.
Yeah, I actually agree with your sentiment on Third Time Lucki there. At the start of the season, I was worried that they were running him too much, and I thought, if this is supposed to be a supreme contender, why are you running him so much? I thought Musselburgh was all wrong for him last time. I didn't think you could have got a worse track, and Dan Skelton tended to agree with that sentiment when he was interviewed afterwards. The one little niggle for me, though, with the Skelton runners is that none of his winners of this race have been seen since Boxing Day that same year. So he's sort of prepped and put them away since Boxing Day, and then they've come out. So
small samples you're dealing with, though, isn't it?
Of course. Yeah, it's very. I mean, that's just his last 5 winners, but. Yeah, you're very much right there. But he's a trainer that knows how to win this race. And Third Time Lucki, you'd like to think it's better than a handicapper for sure, wouldn't you? The way he's run.
I mean, it's probably too, he last raced on the 7th of February. There's probably not enough time to give him a wind operation. But of course, Chittabello turned up first time after the wind operation. Skelton's only had 4 handicap runners at the festival, first run after a wind operation since the surgery had to be declared. One of those won, and another one was placed at 25-1. So that's an interesting general angle to look at for Skelton runners in the handicaps next week. But we don't know yet whether Third Time Lucki's had that.
This is a good race to get involved in, actually, I think, because the likes of Blue Lord, Ganapathy, Soaring Glory, all heading the markets, all likely to go to the Supreme, I think. And then you're down to the Shunter, who will run under a £5 penalty. Obviously, after that £100,000 bonus from winning at Kelso at the weekend. There's a horse in here that, I couldn't be overly confident with her, but I just can't get away from her. It's a horse called Marie's Rock for Nicky Henderson. I'm pretty sure this horse is very talented. She looked really useful last year before suffering an injury and a setback. And then she came back at Newbury, and I thought she caught the eye in a very messy race at Newbury behind Floressa. She was travelling really nicely before a mistake at the third last, then the second last. Then she got hampered. And then they brought her out again at Doncaster, and she was really disappointed over 2 miles at Doncaster on soft ground behind Miranda. I'm just wondering if that was just a bit of bounce factor after that first run of the season. I think it's too early to give up on her. She's off a mark of 138 here. She will settle really well in a big field. I think a big field will suit her. She can be quite keen, and I think I could just see her travelling really strongly. She does through her races, and she's got a lovely turn of foot. I think a mark of 138 surely is going to not be beyond her in time. So I just thought a big price at 25 to 1 ish, there or thereabouts. If she turns up here, I thought Marie's Rock might be worth a couple of quid each way before the festival. Okay, anything to add on that, Andy, or you're happy with that race?
No, not at all. So Marie's Rock, so you're right, she does race keenly. She's never raced in a field of more than 9 runners, so it'll be interesting to see how she copes with it. And some mares tend to sort of struggle to fight for positions, but when running against sort of geldings in a field of sort of 20-odd runners, but others will relish it. And as you say, the end-to-end gallop could really suit her. Yeah,
and I think at 25 to 1, I think you could give a couple of runs and you could take a bit of a chancey bet there. Okay, the 2:30 is the next race on the Friday. It's the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. My original thoughts with this, Andrew, was that it was really, really competitive, but I went through it and I spent quite a bit of time on this race last night. In the last 10 years, the average rating you've needed to be in the top 3 has been 145.9. So that's quite high. I mean, the highest rating.
Does that read out? That rules out all the British, I think, doesn't it? All the British.
Yeah, it does. The Admiral is our highest rated horse on a mark of 142. Now, in 2020, last year, we had 5 rated higher. In 2019, we had 3 rated higher. In 2017, we had 4 rated higher. 2018, 7 rated higher. So this is the weakest year, just on that basis alone, for the British. And then I was
going to say, just going back to last year's renewal, 5 of the first 6 home were Irish trained.
Yeah.
The only British trained runner in the top 6 was Time Hill, rated 150. And of course, look what Time Hill's done this season. He's probably going to win the Stayers Hurdle or certainly go close in it this year. So shows you how strong the Irish challenge is.
Yeah, exactly that. I went back through, because I'm a stickler for homework and getting stuck in. Late last night, I went back through the RPRs coming into this race. Monkfish 154, Manila Indo 138, etc., etc. But the average again was 145.9, which is very strange to have an average RPR of the winners coming into this race. So I went through all of the runners to see what their RPRs were coming into this race on their last run and the run before. I got the 48 entries down to 4.
Wow.
Ashdale Bob, Farouk Delin, Statler, Torrygraph are the 4 horses that have come into this race, recording an RPR of higher than 145. Fakiera was on the cusp of 145, Andrew. So that's good news if that's the one you fancy. The best of the British was 3 under through 5, and just on this basis alone, 3 under through 5. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was Admiral 144. 3 under through 5 was 143. But just on this basis alone, I know I'm waffling a bit here. I was going through it trying to find a bit of value, and Vanilla 144. Closing on Farouk Delin at Limerick on his first try over 3 miles. Now, he's a 33 to 1 shot in here. He's already beaten Statler over a shorter trip as well. He bombed out at the Dublin Racing Festival, ran absolutely no sort of race. But just going back on that Limerick run and back on his Nace win, I just thought 40 to 1. I thought, especially with those stats combined, I thought, Christ, that's enough big if they decide to come here.
What's his running style? Because it does tend to favour horses who are held up.
Yeah, he is a hold up horse. He was ridden a bit more promptly at Nace when he won. He was held up at the Dublin Racing Festival, but he was just far too far behind. He was just never really travelling that day. Previously at Limerick, when he chased down Farouk Delin, he was sat in mid pack in a small field of 8. So I would assume he'd be buried away in this and coming for a late charge. But 40 to 1, I thought, just on the basis.
That's what would worry me slightly. That would worry me about Stadler slightly. That he does tend to go from the front, and it's generally not been a race for front runners. So you can just back any. If you backed any horse who was held up last time out and finished in the top 3, you'd have found 6 winners of this race and made £57 to a £1 level stake. So, you are looking for some. I mean, again, you look at the recent starting prices. We had a 50-1 winner 2 years ago. We've had a couple of 33-1 shots. It's really hard to find the winner on the day, let alone at this stage. So yeah, don't be put off if you fancy a big price one, particularly if that big price one tends to come from off the pace. Would be my advice.
Yeah, it's a strange race. I wasn't overly impressed with Statler. His jumping is very sloppy. That would just worry me a little bit in a big bustly field like this. I don't know what they're going to do. I know he's been going forward the last couple of runs. I don't know if they're going to try and slot him away. I don't know if they were just giving him experience. I did hear somewhere they were thinking of just dropping him in, but I mean, I don't know. He's 11-2. He's the rightful favourite based on the figures, etc. But I'm undecided. Andrew. But Vanillier at a big price. I can't even say it. What is it? It's not vanilla, is it? Who knows? He's 40-1. Andrew, are you still with Fakiera?
Yeah, we've Vanillier, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, French for ice cream. Now, I like Fakiera based on that Dublin Festival run in the first time cheek pieces when coming from off the pace behind Galliard de Menil, doing second best of those who have ridden patiently. We talked about his prospects for the Albert Bowl after that. The whole Gordon Elliott situation has obviously complicated things somewhat since then. But yeah, I would make him my pick at this stage for Fakiera if I was going to pin my colours, colours to one mast at this stage. But again, on the day, I will be trying to stab out a sort of 33-1 plus shot, hopefully with extra places on offer who can creep into contention and perhaps give us a run for our money. But that'll be an Irish one, I would imagine, given the poor record of British trained runners in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the Gold Cup 305. The Gold Cup. You can't wait to talk about this race with me, can you?
I can't, no.
Album photo head in the market, a Plutard and Champ next two in the market. Then 14-1-ish bar the rest. Frodon head in that chasing pack. But it looks like from the market, Andrew, they've got three at the top of the market and nothing else has got a chance if you just go and buy the prices.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because Album Photo is a rare horse bidding to win his third straight Gold Cup. The last time he had this, it was best mate, and you go back. And someone tweeted after Album Photo's win at Tremor on New Year's Day, basically saying that he was 5-1, I think at the time, 9-2, saying that you look at the other triple Gold Cup winners when they lined up at Cheltenham for their third win, they were short prices, generally odds on or even money at best. And because Album Photo, he's now starting to come in he's 11-4, 3-1, and it's not the strongest Gold Cup. Last year's Gold Cup wasn't the strongest. You look at the sort of first six home, and I think the only one who's won since is Album Photo. But then you look at this race, you're thinking, well, there's doubts about everything here. I mean, 9 of the last 10 Gold Cup winners won their prep race. So if there's plenty that fall down on that stat, like
you go careful,
Champ. So you look at it. I mean, A Plutard, he coped with the step up to 3 miles at Leopardstown last time, but 3 miles 2 1/4 on a stiffer track. There's a lot of sort of doubts in his breeding that's going to suit, but I'm certainly not ruling him out. Frodon, of course, I mean, it's rare that you're going to get a King George winner and a Ryanair winner coming to a Gold Cup and being priced at 14-1. So in terms of value, you could certainly say, yeah, why not? Now, a lot of column inches have been written about running styles and will he make the running? Will he get taken on for the lead by Native River? Will Bryony settle him just in behind the front runners? So I mean, I'd certainly rather take a chance with Frodon than several others in this race. I mean, Kenboy I thought was flattered by his DRF win when he's basically sauntered into a 5-length lead as the tapes have gone up and won by that far. I'm not totally convinced that he's going to do any good here. Santini, we talked about he needs 6.5 miles ideally. Would it surprise you if he placed? Probably not, but you don't really want to back him at the current prices. I mean, Royal Pagaille going to go for the National Hunt Novice over 3 miles 6 or come here?
I have no idea, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think if he
I mean,
goes to the National Hunt Chase, he's a shoe-in. But
I think they should come here because this race is falling apart. It doesn't look particularly good. I mean, Native River, you can't argue with how game he was when winning at Sandown last time, and he was, taken on for the lead as well. But he needs the mud. He's not sure to get it, and he's an 11-year-old, which is, it's going to be incredibly difficult to pull off. I can leave him alone at 16. Imperial Aura will surely go for the Ryanair, which I think he's got a great chance. Colin Tizard's horses are still very much in and out, a lot more out than in, and he couldn't win the race last year, and he's not not exactly in the best form. There's Mellon, Allaho, St Calvados have all got different targets. Vindication's best right-handed. ASO doesn't stay. You're going down the field and you're thinking, well, what a rubbish race. There's nothing in it. So you keep going back to album photo, Frodon, who does look overpriced and will surely start 8-1-ish on the day, 14-1 that one now. Why not? And Royal Pugai if he comes here. And I'll leave you to talk about Champ.
Do you know what? This is one of the races that I usually struggle to find a strong opinion in. But I've got the two I'm going to be backing are 100% going to be Champ and a Plutard. I really can't see anything else getting involved. I mean, I'm not sucked into all this hype about Album Photo. I know he's won 2 Gold Cups. That's not hype. I should take that back because people are going to slate me for that.
Yeah.
I know he's won 2 Gold Cups. But last year's was terrible. I mean, you could tear that form to pieces. I wasn't overly impressed with him at Tremor, I must admit. I thought he looked laboured. I don't know. His jumping needs some work. He's vulnerable to making a mistake. I think he's worth taking on. And like you said about the Triple Gold Cup winners and the prices in the market, it's almost too good to be true. If he's
it's an odd one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that sort of worries me. And I think that's the market speaking volumes, really, and the fact that he's, albeit 1-2 Gold Cups, they weren't the best Gold Cups. I really like Champ. Okay, I've said time and time again, it's probably head over heart. The preparation has not been ideal. But Barry Geraghty, I was listening to him on Off the Fence the other day, and he said about Champ when he rode Champ in the RSA. He said he was never travelling from the get-go. He said he just was not on it. He didn't want to run. He just was laboured all the time. And he said the fact that he still managed to win an RSA is quite remarkable. So for me, I just think I've always thought he was about speed. So I wasn't actually surprised what he done at Newbury. But he must be a special horse to be able to win an RSA and drop back to Newbury and do that behind So Royale. That was no mean feat. I do really like him. I think he's a talented horse. There's things that he's done throughout his career. Like last year, he was hitting every single fence and still beating 150 plus horses and beat everything that put in front of him. What he did at Newbury when he had to dart round that bend, it looked like he was going out on another circuit to beat Black Op was just quite remarkable. I just think this horse is very, very talented. I think he's the most talented horse in the field, put it that way. And I think the harder they go for the first mile with the likes of Native River and Frodon, I think the better it's going to be for Champ, because I think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be too far back. I think he's going to be sat about midfield. I think it's going to settle him down the first mile of the race. And I think if he gets in a nice jumping rhythm, he's going to be very hard to beat. The other one is obviously a Plutard. I think the strongest piece of form coming into this race actually this year is that Savills Chase win over Kenboy in Ireland at Leopardstown back at Christmas. I love the way he steamed up that hill. I love the way he finished off that race. Really steamed home. If you go back and watch his Ryanair run last year behind Min, he was staying on very strongly up the Cheltenham Hill. That was a really good eye-catching performance, I thought. And I just thought I can't believe he started the season in his first run over 2 miles at Navan, sorry. I can't believe they did that. Definitely wants 3 miles. He's got the course form. I think it's between the two.
He's going left-handed as well, which I think is important to him. He's never won right-handed. He's 4 from 7 going this way around. And so you look at the defeats, it's like one of them was over that inadequate 2-mile trip at Navan. Another one was when he's placed in the Ryanair chase. And, will he get home up the hill? Maybe, maybe not. But you might be able to get 4 places on the day. And if you're backing him each way at sort of 5 or 6-1, it's bar a fall, you would think, that he's in the first 4.
Yeah, that would be how I would play him. I would play him as an each way play. because I do think he's definitely going to be in the frame. But I'm totally in agreement with you, though. When you go down through this field, you're making a lot of excuses for a lot of the horses down the field. They're one at a massive price. I mean, he's got a lot to find, but he's definitely Aintree bound, I think. So he's probably not going to go here. But if Burrows Saint turn up here, I do like this horse. He's only an 8-year-old. He's improving all the time. He's run behind Acapella Bourgeois at Ferry House the other day. It was a prep run, and he basically, I tipped Acapella Bourgeois in the race, and he basically gave the Bobby Joe. Paul Tanner didn't ask him for much of an effort at all. So this is a horse definitely worth keeping on side going forward. Burrows Saint. I think he's a big talent, and he's got a lot to come. Like I say, though, probably Aintree bound. But
he does seem to improve in the spring as well. Obviously, an Irish national winner. He's won 3 times during March and April previously, and he's, like you say, he's obviously got big spring targets. But I'm sure they'd be quite happy for sort of plugging on into 3rd or 4th without being given a very hard race here.
Yeah, and you haven't got to make much of a case for 100 to 1 shot anyway, have you? So,
well, exactly. Yeah, you can't have ticks in all the boxes, otherwise you wouldn't be 100 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you got to side with Frodon at the prices currently, are you? Just at the prices.
Yeah, I mean, I'll weigh in with you, and I'll say my pick at this stage is A Plus Tard. Despite I've had 1 or 2 people email me with a sort of breakdown of the pedigree saying won't stay. But if you gave me a £5 free bet, I'd have £2.50 each way on A Plus Tard. I think at the moment that's the way I'm going. Yeah,
and Champ first and foremost for me, and A Plus Tard as well as an each way play. Okay, the 340. So once that's all over and done with, we've got the Fox Hunters to look forward to, Andrew. I haven't got much to say about this. I was on Billaway last year when Patrick Mullins gave him an absolute mountain to climb. It was ridiculous. But he caught the eye there. I still think this horse has got more to come. It's been impressive in his last 2 starts, staying on strongly. I think if he's been given a more prominent ride this time around, I think 3 to 1 for Billaway is a great price, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about prominent rides, because I mean, traditionally the new course at Cheltenham over fences favours those who are prominent. We've seen plenty of front-running winners in the Gold Cup over the years. The Foxhunter, or the what's it now called, the St James's Place Festival Challenge, not the St James's Palace. Don't get confused with Royal Ascot, as I have done. Normally the amateur riders, they tend to go off too fast. They set it up for a closer in this race. So it'll be fascinating with professional jockeys riding how this race unfolds in terms of the pace. So don't necessarily think it's going to play into the hands of the hold-up horses as it has done previously. So I say, last year it came to pass 66 to 1, Billaway in 2nd, Staker Wallace in 4th. Staker Wallace got closer to Billaway last time out, and I thought maybe, if you're looking for 1 each way, or you're looking for place pot suggestions, then Staker Wallace could be, the one to side with. And of course, there's Red Indian for Kelly Morgan, who has gone close in this race. Had place runners in this race in the last couple of years. That's with Top Wood. I was fortunately enough to be on a Cheltenham panel a few years ago with Top Wood's Work Rider, and he put this one up as an Ante-Post bet in February, and I think he was best priced 20 to 1 at the time. I've had a small win bet. On the day, he's 50 to 1. I think you can back him at something like 16 or 17 to 1, 4 places, and he's finished second. So she's got a pedigree as a trainer in this race with outsiders. I mean, Red Indian are saying an outsider is only about 16 to 1, 14 to 1, maybe even shorter. Probably fit in at the moment. So I would side with Kelly Morgan's Red Indian. Say Billaway and Staker Wallace I'd consider for the place pot, but that's the way I was looking at this stage.
Yeah, and it's probably best not to write off last year's winner at Cheltenham Pass either. I know he's not been at his best, but he does like it at Cheltenham. He was going well in 2016 when he fell, and then obviously bolted up last year, beating Billaway. The younger horse probably improved though, so that would be my angle there. So Billaway for me, and Red Indian for Andrew. In the 4:15, we move on to the Mare's Chase, the first running of this race, Andrew, and Would you be looking for something with course form in this race, given it's the first running of the race?
No, because most of these won't have had the opportunity necessarily to to run here before. I mean, really, you'd be looking at what has Willie Mullins got, because every time there's a new mares race, he seems to dominate it. I mean, I think if you bet all Willie Mullins runners in mares only races, you'd have, the two hurdle races, you'd have backed 13 winners from 40 odd runners and made a profit over the years. So you're immediately drawn to Elimay. Colreevy, they were talking originally of missing this race and going for a graded contest, I think, run at Limerick during Cheltenham week. So, I mean, that was the quotation on the Racing Post website, or the quote on the Racing Post website after her last win. So, but in recent days, she's kind of 6-1 into 4-1 for this. So you start thinking, well, it looks like they might. Basically, just reading this now. She might have a good chance at Cheltenham, but connections were favouring Limerick, but it's open to debate, right? That's the latest one. So now they're sort of umming and ahhing and thinking she might run here. So I mean, Elimay, Colreevy. I'd prefer Colreevy if she did run here. She's unbeaten over fences. I think she could be really good. So and again, at the prices 15-8, Elimay with William Hill, Colreevy 4-1. The one I'm interested in from for the Brits is John Joe O'Neill's Annie Mac, though. She's always been best in small fields, like a lot of mares. She's got a great record in fields of 9 or fewer runners. She's had 5 chase runs in small fields. She's won all 5. So if this cuts up, as you expect it might, then I'd quite happily back Annie Mac. I mean, we've got 19 runners at the moment. I could see it sort of, around about half those dropping out. But of the Irish pair at the head of the market, I prefer Colreevy. But if it cuts up, Annie Mac each way for me.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with Annie Mac as well last time at Warwick. I thought it was quite a good run. She seems to be improving. So I mean, my angle here would probably be Eddie May's obviously got the strongest form coming into the race. 15-8 could probably look a little bit generous if this does cut up the way you think it might. I'm trying to look for something that might be of wanting a bit better ground and could turn a little bit of form around. I'm yet to make a decision on this race, I've got to be honest with you. But I think Elimay is definitely the right favourite, 15-8. And if Andy's right and it cuts up, then it could look very generous at 15-8. Okay, last race on the Friday is the Martin Pipe. This is not a get out of jail race. This is if you've done your cobblers by now, then this is not a race to help you out, is it, Andrew, at the end of the Friday?
Yeah, well, there's some interesting stats associated with this race. I was having a good look at it this morning. Those who finished in the top 3 in a graded contest last time out, have won 5 times in the last 7 years. You make a good profit backing them all. Now, in the 2 blank years, one of those, 2016, there was only 1 qualifier, 16-1 shot who finished well beaten. Last year, there were 4 qualifiers, and those included a 25-1 fourth. So, just have a look for those who've been running in these graded races and running well, and those who prepped in a handicap got a terrible record. It's 3 from 171. So this race has been going for 12 years. 9 of the winners ran in a non-handicap last time out. So if you'd backed all the horses who ran in a handicap, you've had 168 out of 171 losing bets, and you've lost 118 quid to a £1 level stake. Now, just backing all those who ran in anything else, a listed race, a graded race, whatever, a novice hurdle, you'd found 9 winners from 108 and made a profit of £16.50p to a £1 level stake. So now the current favourite was handicapping last time as well. That's the Willie Mullins horse. Just trying to look for the latest odds, 6-1, I think. I don't know if there's been a declaration stage. Here we go. My Gentleman to Me.
Been hammered over the last couple of days. This Gentleman to Me. Sorry, I should have read the odds of 6-1 Gentleman to Me. Sorry, Paffy 7-1.
Yeah, the angle that this one won a maiden hurdle last time out, but the angle this one falls down on is the distance of the prep run. Now, because this Martin Pipe conditional jockey's handicap hurdle 2 miles 4.5 furlongs, so those who ran over 2 miles to 2 miles, 2 furlongs last time out, got a terrible record, 1 from 94. So that rules out the jolly. So I mean, I think we've had 3 winners dropping back from 3 miles, but the other 9 winners had basically prepped over 2 miles 3 to 2 miles 5, which is what you'd expect for Cheltenham Festival winners. So, yeah, gentlemen to me, horses who prepped over 2 miles, 1 from 94. So that would be a concern. I mean, I need to do more work on this race, as I'm sure you do, because there's about 150 entered at the moment, and it looks a bit of a minefield. But yeah, just perhaps ignore those who ran in a handicap last time, ignore those who prepped over 2 miles, look for horses who've run well without winning, perhaps in graded contests, and we might be able to manage this, narrow this down to something manageable.
That is some fantastic information. That really is. If the producers are going to moan that we've not put up a selection in here, that is well worth the airtime anyway. Those stats, so fantastic. More work for me to be done in this as well, Andrew. So no selection to their to the producer's joy. But that is it for the Friday. That is it for our 4 days as well. 4-day Ante-Post preview. Hopefully we're finding a little bit of value here, there and everywhere. Wednesday is the day where we have to make our final decisions, Andrew. Yeah,
I was about to say we're back on Wednesday for a full 2-hour preview and with some other guests as well. Leona, obviously, and a certain well-known jockey. So, we're going to need to do a bit of work between now and then and come up with some handicap selections, particularly for the Martin Pipe.
Yes, totally agree. But for now, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on Wednesday for the full preview.